The latest Pompey news, updates every day from the Pompey Sound news desk.
After the game, John Mousinho reflected on Pompey's decision to go for the win. We largely had control of the game, apart from when they broke on us. It's a bit of an oxymoron, I suppose. You could see from the athleticism Watford have in the side. They were absolutely oozing with it. Counter-attacking was their strength. We have different strengths, and we need to deal with that. Giving the ball away is the big concern. I looked at some of the times we gave the ball away cheaply, and that had led to a counter-attack. It's a weird one because they are sitting deep and breaking on us with that athleticism. But we still have to take risks in and around the box. You have to deliver the ball into the box and commit bodies. Sometimes, if you don't lock the edge off properly, then it's going to happen. We could have been very, very safe with the ball. And we were slightly safe at times, but you could see what happens on the other side when we give the ball away. We were going for the win, and that happens. Late on, Joe had the ball in his hands and rolled it out quickly. We tried to play, we tried to get forward. Then the next thing you know, we've conceded a chance and a corner. We went for it, we wanted to try to win. Unfortunately, we didn't, but there were loads of positives.
John Mousinho revealing there once again, as if we needed further proof, that he is one of the most intelligent, if not the most intelligent, football manager in all four divisions. His use of the word oxymoron. Can you imagine a lot of the managers that we've had in the past and that are out there all right across the four leagues, even having heard of the term oxymoron? And we have, but we still weren't quite sure exactly what it meant, so we had to look it up. I thought it was what it sounds like, which is something to do with oxygen and something to do with being a moron. A single cell of oxygen or something, I don't know. And it turns out that it means something that is slightly contradictory and seems a little bit stupid if you stop and think about it. Because what he said at the beginning of his roundup of the game was that we dominated the game except for the times when we didn't. And then was immediately aware that he'd sort of contradicted himself or stated the obvious. And so he said of himself, self-denigrating himself, that is a bit of an oxymoron. But it got the old grey matter thinking. Did they come with a plan which was to use the fact that they had superior forwards in terms of speed to the pace of our defenders, and therefore decide to do what they did with great effect, especially in the second half, which was to defend with a line of 5 at the back and 4 in front of them? But of those 4 in front of the 5 back line, there were players who were able to cover the pitch so quickly on the break. Now, the break, of course, is a time-honoured, hallowed way of scoring a goal. And when it's you that does it, there is nothing more... Well, no, it's one of the most exciting ways to score a goal. By the way, I've just reminded myself of a terrific move that we had, which was a bit of a break. And it was Yang Min-hok, who belted the ball first time straight at the keeper, although the keeper had to punch it over. But it was a beautiful goal, and if he'd missed it slightly and it had been off target, it was going straight down at the goalkeeper, then that would have been one heck of a goal. But they caught us on the break, and I guess there might have to be a tactical discussion there about whether we defend just a little bit deeper when we are attacking their 9-man defence. Okay, because if we push forward with everybody in order to match their numbers, which up to a point you have to do, then we are going to be vulnerable. There's so much space behind us. The goalkeeper, even playing as a sweeper, can't be expected to handle 3 guys, one in the middle, one on the right, one on the left, coming at us at terrific pace. And they were big and they were solid. And they were fast. We don't use the word fast in football anymore. It has to be pace. So I'll go with that. They were pacey.
The verdict of the BBC is in, they say.
Wednesday's 2-2 draw against Watford summed up where Portsmouth are as a team at the moment. There were spells of encouragement and promising moments, but also a number of points of concern. A more than decent first-half performance put Pompey in a winning position, only for them to concede 2 sloppy goals on the counter-attack. Pompey need to find a way to win games like this if they want to reach the next level as a side. It was, though, a fascinating spectacle, with both teams seeming capable of stealing a late winner. Adrian Segacic found himself on the Blues bench after a couple of quiet games but showed again he can be a difference maker. Connor Chaplin hasn't quite been able to make the impact he would have hoped at the start of his Pompey career. Helping him get back near his best will make a huge difference.
A reasonable assessment there by the BBC. But typical BBC, really, there's nothing there that we didn't know, and most of it they are stating the flipping obvious. We need to score more goals. Well, just about every team that's ever played the beautiful game feels that, generally speaking, they need to score more goals. Of course we need to score more goals. And definitely Connor Chapman has not yet flourished in a blue shirt. He will. I think we can be confident about that. He will find a way of dominating the team, or dominating the pitch rather, not necessarily his team, dominating the pitch in the same way that John Messino says he is a leading light in the changing room. And of course you need people like that who are good influencers inside the changing room. We're not scoring goals. Colby Bishop is not having any luck in front of goal, unfortunately, and I use that word really absolutely on my own good advice. Unfortunately, people are starting to get on his back. It's an easy target because you can measure what a goal scorer does or does not achieve. You can't measure in quite the same way the energy and the tackling and the winning of 50-50 balls of a midfield player, a central midfield player, defensive midfield player, in a sense, is very well off because they're not subject to the same kind of statistical analysis and definitiveness that forwards who don't score or defenders who concede too many goals are subject to. But Bishop chose to be a striker, is a very good striker, has got a tremendous striking record at Pompey. He had a lean spell at one point. I can't remember exactly whether it was last season. I think it may have been the season before. But he's back on. He came back on song, and he's going to do it again. Pompey are getting closer to being a solid championship side, but we're not quite there yet. Simple as that.
In Middlesbrough, Teesside Live is assessing Pompey ahead of Saturday.
Portsmouth are still sweating on the fitness of Josh Murphy after the talismanic winger missed his third match in a row. Pompey boss John Messino was hoping the 30-year-old would be available for last night's 2-2 draw with Watford, but once again he was not involved. In the build-up to Wednesday night's game, Messino had hoped to have Murphy available, describing him as very day-to-day at the minute. Pompey will now consider whether they want to have him for Saturday's game with Middlesbrough, or give him the international break to get right. They are already without attacker Callum Lang and centre-back Connor Shaughnessy, who are both out for at least a couple of months with hamstring injuries. Goalkeeper Nicholas Schmid is out for a similar spell with a broken hand. However, there was some relief for Messino, who was able to hand first starts of the season to Marlon Pack and Harvey Blair. Experienced midfielder Pack came off the bench to score against Ipswich last weekend, but played the full 90 against the Hornets. Also, winger Blair made his first appearance in 5 months after recovering from a hamstring injury and played the final 27 minutes. For Borough, Rob Edwards is hopeful if needed Dale Fry and Callum Britton will be available to start at Portsmouth.
That's a pretty thorough and fair assessment of where Pompey are right now. 48 hours away from hosting Middlesbrough, who've had a great start to the season. I think it's fair to say that we would love to see Josh Murphy back, but the option of giving him an extra 2 weeks because of the international break in order to get fully fit must be tempting, especially since Blair is getting a lot of plaudits for his performance on Wednesday night. And he did look sharp, didn't he? And he looked keen, and he wanted it. And his first thought whenever he got the ball wide was, can I take my man on? Oh no, they doubled up on me. That's going to make it difficult. Have I got an option to pass the ball sideways so that the momentum is retained? No, I'm going to have to go back to my fullback, which he did more often than one suspects he would like. But I guess what I'm saying is that with Yang Min-hyuk performing so well on the right and Blair looking as though he's going to be as good a stand-in for Josh Murphy until Josh Murphy comes back, we're starting to look really strong, potentially, in those two wide areas, which have been a bit of a thorn in the side of Pompey and John Messino in particular since the start of the season when it became apparent that we weren't going to get Abu Kamara back. And have we really managed to find a replacement for him from amongst the people that we've already got in the building? And up steps Callum Lang, and of course he did a fantastic job, but hamstring gone, so he is out of the equation. However, if we can get Josh Murphy fit, and of course Josh Murphy is one of the first names to go on the team sheet, we're without at the moment 2 or 3 or 4 players who would be first on the team sheet. We're not just losing a number of players who play a lot, we are losing far too many first team, first picks for the starting 11. We're in a bad shape, a bad way, with injuries already all over the pitch. However, we're solid at centre half, although of course Shaughnessy out for a considerable period of time, but we seem pretty solid for centre halves. So good forward planning there by the recruitment team and John Messino. However, just to react fully to the nice piece, I thought, thorough piece that Teesside Live did, profiling the opposition as far as they're concerned, the Middlesbrough fans, on Saturday did a very nice job. We will no doubt hear that they have injury problems as well, partly because everybody seems to, and I'm going to use the term these days, but also because teams don't like to see themselves as being a shoo-in. They don't like to be the favourites. They would rather be the underdogs any day of the week. Why? Explain and discuss.
The 72's football writers predicted a score draw for Watford. They're not so optimistic for Middlesbrough's visit.
James Ray, this is a tricky game to call. Going off the league table, many will lean towards Middlesbrough, but there is more to come from this Portsmouth team. Pompey's start hasn't been too bad. The encouraging thing about them is that it feels they've still got another gear or two to go through as summer signings get up to speed and find their groove. Early form has been far more encouraging to Middlesbrough, and that does sway me towards an away win in this one. I do think we'll get a close game though. I'll go for a narrow Borough win, but don't be surprised if Portsmouth take a point. Predictions: Portsmouth 1, Middlesbrough 2. Harry Mayle, Portsmouth are winless in their last 4 games and will want to return to winning ways as soon as possible. Pompey are in for a tough test this weekend though. John Messino's side haven't scored enough goals so far this season. They need to be more ruthless in attack over the coming weeks. Middlesbrough are flying under Rob Edwards. Borough's decision to turn to the former Luton Town man in the summer has worked out well. They will be full of confidence at the moment as they eye another win. I fancy them to pick up all 3 points at Fratton Park. Prediction: Portsmouth 0, Middlesbrough 2.
Of course, predicting the outcome of football matches is notoriously difficult. It's an absolute minefield. But the one thing that football journalists and robots have in common is that they quite like being asked difficult questions. So there's 2 guys from the 72, an excellent website. But this is what the AI software that we use at Pompey Sound, which is Ask GPT, have to say when we said, predict the score of next Saturday's football match, Portsmouth versus Middlesbrough. AI goes, after about 8 seconds of thinking about it. Looking at this championship clash between Portsmouth and Middlesbrough on Saturday, October the 4th, at 3 p.m. UK time, the prediction models are pointing towards a Middlesbrough victory with a 2-1 scoreline. They then give it a little bit of background to this prediction. They say, match overview. Middlesbrough enters this fixture as the championship leaders with 18 points from 8 matches, 5 wins, 3 draws, no losses, while Portsmouth sits in 17th place with just 9 points and only 3 points above the relegation zone. The contrast, in form is stark. Borough averaging 2.25 points per game, Pompey 1.14. Then they give 3 key predictions and probabilities. They say the algorithmic analysis suggests 1, Middlesbrough win 38.01 probability with odds around 2.38. Draw 40.45 probability. Portsmouth win 21.54 probability. So they then conclude most likely scoreline 2-1 to Middlesbrough. Form analysis, there's just a couple of sentences on this, and we like that, brief and to the point. Portsmouth has I noticed that they get that slightly wrong. We say Portsmouth have, but they say Portsmouth has struggled recently, going 4 matches without a win, 2 draws, 2 losses, and managing just a 2-2 draw with Watford in their last outing. At home, they've been inconsistent with 1 win, 1 draw and 2 losses from 4 matches. Middlesborough, they go on, despite their league-leading position, has drawn 3 of their last 4 matches, including a 0-0 stalemate with Stoke City. However, their unbeaten record and superior goal difference, +7, versus Portsmouth's -2, gives them the edge. So the simple fact of the matter is that the football writers at the 72 and artificial intelligence absolutely agree.